I will be brutally honest. Ain't nothing but being brutally honest. Coming at you with another video.
The Spotlight 49ers Talk with your host CG Ruthless, man. We got a special guest, a Chargers content creator, Chargers Truther, man. How's it going?
I'm good. I've been looking forward to this all day. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, no problem, man. I had to get it done, bro. I had to get you on my list because I know I was on your show not too long ago. I think it was before draft day or something, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and you were talking about how your team can be a competitive squad. We were talking about how my team was, but I returned a favor. But this ain't gonna be too long, everybody. But for this guy, man, Chargers Truther, man, tell everybody where they can find your social media platform.
Well, I'm out there on YouTube. You could just look up Chargers Truther, find me there. I'm still kind of starting up, not too big yet, but I'm hoping to really grow and keep spreading my opinions and the truths as the way I see it, man. So I really appreciate all the support and all that.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, his channel he's up and coming. There's quite a few Chargers content creators, if you guys are not too aware of. I think there's a couple big ones, but I think there's some that are up and coming in your fan base. But yeah, we've been following each other on Twitter. You've kind of had your different opinions, and then what kind of caught my attention is a lot of these Chargers fans, it seems like you guys are very optimistic at times, but then you're kind of a little too negative. I don't get it. Like, is it just the GM or something?
Yeah, bro. In my opinion, the GM has been here just too long. Not enough. He's only won 2 playoff games, 2 wild card games at that. And he's entering his 11th season. I don't know how he's been able to stay this long. He drafted Justin Herbert. Obviously, that's the foundation of our entire franchise now. We're all just praying that this guy is going to carry us to the promised land. But in my opinion, it's more about filling this roster out, getting solid at all levels of the game, offense, defense, rush, offense, whatever, all that stuff. Just trying to become a more aggressive team, not just rely on this quarterback. So, yeah, there's a lot to love about this team, and there's a lot to be pessimistic about as well.
Yeah, and here's an interesting question, I guess. Is Austin Ekeler the best RB in the league? No bias, in your opinion?
No, I don't think he's the best running back in the league. I think he's a top, maybe top 7 or something like that. I mean, he's a fantasy monster, maybe the best fantasy running back, but he's a smaller guy. He just needs another big workhorse back to split the carries with him. You can't try and put this small guy in the role of a big power back. It just doesn't work like that. So in his role, he's a very incredible back. He's an incredible athlete. I love Ekeler. I wish we can re-sign him and keep him. But I don't think he's the best running back in the league. He's a top one, but not the best.
I think it's just like when it comes to all purpose, he's really that kind of guy. But I mean, not to sound biased, but I think Christian McCaffrey is the best all around. Is that too biased for me, or is that kind of being realistic about it?
I mean, I think they're both very similar running backs. They're both great. They kind of play the same type of role. One thing you do got to say is that I think that the 49ers are a more complete team. They, I don't know, I feel like they support Christian McCaffrey maybe a little better, Austin Ekeler. The Chargers are just not as good of a team overall as the 49ers, I think. So it is a team game, so you can't just isolate one player and just be like, oh, is this guy as good as this guy? There's a lot of factors.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors to it, especially how I seen a couple of your tweets where you were kind of bringing about how the Niners have won it, are like that real team to win compared to you guys. But
Yeah.
is that the standard you're hoping for when it comes to your team, man? Because your head coach, he can be unpredictable, but you got a new play caller, man. You got Kellen Moore, man. What's your thoughts of Kellen Moore?
Yeah, I mean, we can be optimistic about it. He has had very good offenses in Dallas. I think maybe we could say that Dallas Dak Prescott is maybe not as good. Maybe he's the problem there or whatever. But yeah, we're excited about Kellen Moore. But again, we had the 30th ranked rush offense last season, 30th ranked yards per carry, just atrocious numbers, and we didn't add we only drafted one single 5th round offensive lineman, did not even add any running backs. We're kind of just running it back with the same group and just hoping that Kellen Moore can just fix everything. And I don't know. I'm not really buying it. I think he can fix it a little bit, but how much is he really going to be able to do with that is the question. I would do more. I would do more with this roster. I would add more players. So
yeah, there's quite a few more players still available. Like you can still get some other guys, but going into the draft before you were even discussing draft day, what you thought of the Chargers draft in general?
I thought it was cool. I like how we addressed the defensive box. We got a couple defensive linemen and a inside linebacker. I thought that was good because our rush defense was horrible as well. We need to bolster this rush defense, but I really wanted a running back. I actually really wanted a 1st round running back, and I know Jameer and Bijan went early, so it kind of threw a wrench in the plans as for at least me. But we didn't get any running backs, and I just think that if you can't generate a run game, you need to add players to that area of the team, and you just can't rely on Justin Herbert to just do everything, and just carry a 30th ranked rush offense. So I liked it. I gave it a B. I gave our draft a B. I'm excited about Quentin Johnson. I think he's going to be a good receiver. But it's just like, dang, we're putting all our chips on the pass offense and kind of ignoring the rush offense, man.
Oh yeah, and then here's what this Chargers fan said. Dalen Hanley was the most underrated player that you guys drafted by far.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited for him. He's good, looking good. I saw some videos of him. He's in great shape. I think he's moving. He's athletic. Could definitely be a very big part of our team. He's still a rookie, though, so I don't want to get too high hopes on it, But definitely excited for him. I think that was a pretty good pick in the 3rd round because we need we lost Drew Tranquill, our starting inside linebacker, and we're trying to get better in this rush defense. We're hoping that he can come help out.
Yeah, you're going to have to expect a lot from a lot of these young players and all that stuff. So, when you look at the Chargers, they're not far off from competing with the Chiefs. It's just the Chiefs are just more of a better all-around team. But
yeah,
I think as long as you guys can compete with Kansas City, I think there's a good chance you guys can at least get in the mix with them. But it's like Kansas City is just like that one obstacle. But you guys know how to play them well, so we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously the Chiefs are the big brother pretty much in the, AFC West and also in the whole AFC and the NFL. They're the reigning champions. They've won 2 Super Bowls now, even lost one, so they've been to 3. Yeah, we're chasing them. We play them well every year, twice a year. But it just seems like, if you don't get the win, you don't get the win. We need to learn how to get over that hump. And I just think that, again, I keep harping on this, if we want to beat these guys, we need to be physical. We need to be aggressive. We can't just rely on the pass game. We need to just, I would like to just run it up the middle, run it down their throats, and hit them on all aspects. Stop being scared of them, Let's bully them for once, That's what I like to see. And I think that we need a culture change to become a more aggressive, more physical, less timid, Let's just go out and hit them in the mouth like the 49ers do and like the Chiefs also do, I think.
Yeah, you need a physical style of defense in a different type of way. But the difference between the Chargers and the Niners is you guys don't really value much of the running back position like you guys would, but the Niners do. We always find these type of running backs. It doesn't matter what round we get them. They're either a low draft pick, maybe a high pick at times, but mostly it's undrafted. So we always find those type of running backs. But The one thing I don't like about my team in general is why can't we just value pass blocking more? That's where I get upset the most. Like, I think the injuries at quarterback has to do with pass blocking at times. Like, you can't expect a quarterback to play a full entire season with that kind of offensive lineman. I mean, yeah, we can run the ball down their throats, but at some point you're going to have to pass the ball because a defense is going to force you to throw the ball more, and you're going to have to keep up with some teams like that. So that's where I'm hoping maybe we can overcome that obstacle. But I feel like that offensive line on the right side may be the only question mark I may question a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, that goes back to the point where, like, you just need to get an overall solid team. I see the Chargers and the 49ers as kind of like opposites. Chargers can't run the ball, but we can throw it amazing. We might be the best passing offense in the NFL this year, it's yet to be seen, obviously. And the 49ers can run it down the opponent's throat, but they maybe are lacking a little bit in that pass game. But again, I just think that the 49ers kind of have more solid. They don't need to pass so much. I feel like we're just so desperate to, like, keep holding on to this pass game and having it carry us. So I'd like to see us become a lot more like the 49ers. I really envy you guys' team building and culture.
We just build a culture of low-round guys that just were humble. But, like, I mean, you rather have a team just run the ball consistently, just run it down their throats, but not have much of a passing game, because at some point, a defense that will play down the stretch, they're going to force us to throw the ball more, and that's going to be the challenging part. So we're going to face a really good defense, and that's where the Niners tend to struggle at the end of the season, is when you play against teams like Philadelphia. Philadelphia's got a really good defense. You look at the previous years under the Niners when it came to the playoffs. The Rams were a well-known defense at that point, but the Niners were forced to throw the ball more than usual. And when we get forced to throw the ball a lot, we don't tend to win as much, So, like, you can look at the history of what happened with Jimmy Garoppolo. Then you look at Brock Purdy. He's just a magic, comes out of nowhere because he's a third-string quarterback. But sometimes that magic runs out if you don't evolve more as a passing team. Running the ball is great, but you have to be able to do both at once, Yeah. And that's how teams are going to have a hard time beating that opponent. You have to be good at both sides of that aspects of the game. You got to be good at running the ball when it's in the last quarter. Usually running the ball is better in the last quarter, but when you pass the ball in that situation, you struggle.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened to us in our wild card game against the Jaguars. Dude, we're up 27-0, and we can't run the ball. And that opened the door up for the Jaguars to matriculate the ball. They didn't panic. They just dinked and dunked us all the way down. They ran it. They passed it short. They passed it deep. And whenever we got the ball back and we're trying to run the clock out, we can't run the ball, and we're forcing Herbert to, like, superhero us when, the defense already knows that we're going to pass it because that's all we can do. So, yeah, again, the way I see it is, imagine if the 49ers had a quarterback like Justin Herbert or someone like that. I'm not saying your quarterbacks aren't very good or anything, but Justin Herbert is just on a whole nother level.
Oh, yeah, he's an elite level. Like, I'm not even taking it as disrespect, because you look at the quarterbacks we have, they're average. They're your typical average Joes. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo was an average Joe, but now he's with the Raiders. Brock Purdy's an average Joe, the last pick in the draft. Trey Lance is considered a question mark, but there's potential. There's some potential that we're hoping that can be something special, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I agree. I would put Justin Herbert in between the top 5 when it comes to the position, man. This guy puts on numbers. This guy is a franchise quarterback that can carry the team and sometimes come from behind and win you games. But
yeah. And what I would say also is that, you guys might not have your quarterback or whatever all sorted out, but you guys still almost made the Super Bowl. So it's just like, yes, it's a passing game and all that, but it's still football. It's still the same game, that it's always been, more or less. You just, I don't know, man, it's a team game. You need to hit them on all aspects of the game. And I think that, like, if we had a team like that and Justin Herbert on top, this guy would just be able to chill back there and slice it up. And I think we would go to the Super Bowl, man.
No, I think Chargers are a loaded team, just like how everybody looks at them. But they think of you guys as the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC version. Like you can say that now. You got Kellen Moore. Kind of seems obvious, but and I guess Tommy agrees with you on this one, man. He would want Justin Herbert in a heartbeat. That's just how good he is. Like I would want Josh Allen. Also, I would definitely, dude. I would die for Patrick Mahomes. I would die for Patrick Mahomes just so he can get us to the promised land, man. But
Yeah.
But Shanahan just likes these average Joes, man. Come on, this is not the 70s or 80s or 90s, bro. They don't win in today's Super Bowl with this. I mean, Nick Foles was the last quarterback to do that.
But wait, do you think that if Brock Purdy didn't get injured in that AFC or NFC Championship, like what do you think would have happened?
Well, if Brock Purdy, I think this game would have been a lot closer, at least. Because if you watch the game was kind of like at a point where our defense was really holding up to them. So I think when it came down to it, Josh Johnson couldn't generate the offense. He got hurt eventually, and we just were running the ball at this point. So it was kind of like at that point. But if Brock Purdy was healthy, I think we would have beat Philadelphia. And I'm not going to sound like a bitter fan. I already said that we lost fair and square because of the injury. It was unfortunate. It happened. But I think if Brock Purdy was out there, if he was still playing and his arm wasn't – if his elbow wasn't the factor into that game, can you imagine what he would have done with that pass to Brandon Ayuk or at least to Debo and those other guys, bro? I think we would have been in this game. This could have gone into overtime maybe, or maybe it could have gone into the Niners' favor because we were holding up to the Eagles until the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That defense was holding up on them.
Yeah, and I agree. I think I'm surprised how well you guys did even with your quarterback injuries in that game. And, you don't want to be a bitter fan or whatever, sore loser saying like, oh, if we had this, we would have won that. But again, it's fair to speculate that way. If you guys had that quarterback, you would have maybe won. And just like us in our game versus the Jaguars, we were up 27-0, and I'm not trying to be bitter or anything, but I'm saying if we had a decent run game, we would have won that game too, man. I mean, we had a 27-0 lead. Like,
how do you blow a lead? That's what I don't understand. This is worse than the Houston Oilers blowing a lead, just like against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, man. And what that really goes to is there's a term called chargering, which maybe
chargering, but you're the truther.
Yeah. No. Chargering is when we're up and we already know that we're gonna mess it up and we're gonna let it slip away. And even when we were up 27-0, I knew, or I had a feeling that we were gonna mess that up. And I was even at 27-0, I'm like, oh dude, this ain't over yet. Like, hold on a second. Like, I'm still nervous, my heart is still pounding. Like, I want to keep pounding it, keep the foot on the gas, and it happened just the way I was afraid of. And that goes back to our culture. We need to have a culture of winners, of believing in ourselves. Fuck all this charging stuff. We need to bury that term and just become dominant, aggressive, deep, with the backups and all that, and just belief in the team. And I think that's what we're missing is the culture.
Yeah, the culture, the tone setting type of thing. Because when it comes down to that, dude, you kind of like had an opportunity to close this game and it just went away. But you know the thing that's in common that the Niners and the Chargers have in common? It seems like we blow a suitable lead. But I think Shanahan is exactly what he would be, a Charger, because he can't even hold a damn lead. Like, how do you blow a 10-point lead in the Super Bowl? How do you blow a 10-point lead in the NFC Championship game, man? If I'm being honest, man, I'm pretty sure Brandon Staley would have been doing a really good job with the Niners. He would have at least not have no problem with our defense, but I think he would have been worse as a conservative play caller. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
But when you look at it this way, man, Shanahan knows how to scheme stuff, but I think the weakest part of his game is he doesn't evolve much as a passer with this team, bro. I want to see this offense go to the next level. Like, let's say we're down more than 10 points, or at least 3 touchdowns. Let's say we're down by 21, and it's in the fourth quarter, and we're just in 10 or 11 minutes left on the game.
Mhm.
I want that guy to be the one who can come from behind and win that game. Or something
Yeah.
like that. I want it to be like, hey, this game ain't over. There's hope. Hey, we got a chance to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a big part of that is obviously having a good quarterback. Again, looking at the Jaguars Chargers wild card game, Trevor Lawrence is a very good quarterback,
Yeah, he's
but
shown the sense.
they also have a solid team. They have good rush game, good defense. I like the Jaguars, and also on top of that, they have Doug Peterson, the head coach, who has won a Super Bowl with the Eagles before,
Yeah,
and
he knows
he
what it
just
takes.
he knows what's going on. He has experience, and he has the trust of his team, and I think that really all those things piece together in a very good recipe.
Yeah, and that's what builds a culture. I don't think Peterson was the problem with Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia was just didn't want to give it a chance, and they changed the culture anyways. But I think Doug Peterson has been known to do a turnaround. He knows how to build an offense, and
Yeah.
the way you win in today's football, man, the running game is a great part of your offense if it comes to the final quarters of the game. Like, let's say we're up by 10 points, and all we got to do is just run the clock. That's it.
Yeah.
That's when you can use the running game.
Yeah.
But if you're going to use the running game in the early part of the game, sometimes defense figured to adjust at some point. But when you pass the ball more, it kind of gives you more of a chance to get big plays and score.
Yeah.
But you usually want to kill the clock anyways, right? You want to have an 8-minute drive or longer just to get some points on the board and get a lead and then keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I think passing the ball is more important than running the ball. You can still pass the ball short, like we did in the past season. You could pass the ball out to you could do screens, you could do swing routes, you could do hitches, and you could also hit it deep. So you have a lot of stuff you can do with the pass game. But again, you still need to be able to run that ball, like with the in the fourth quarter. We have this thing again where we charge and we give up leads, but you could I blame a lot of it on our lack of ability to run the ball. If you run the ball on first down, you get 1 yard, you get 0 yards. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You're going to do a 3 and out real quick. If you throw an incomplete pass, clock stops, and you're just giving so much momentum back to the other team to form a comeback. So again, bro, it all goes back to my main thing where this is a team game. You need all aspects of the thing. Passing the ball, yeah, it's probably the most important part of football, but you can't ignore anything, I think.
Oh yeah, you can't. Definitely not. Oh, here's a good question, I guess, from a Chargers fan. Let's see. I'm gonna read it. What do you think the Niners defense will look like this year with the departure of DeMeco Ryans and add of Steve Wilks? Very good question. I think the difference between DeMeco Ryans and Steve Wilks is I think our defense is going to come back to the same form that we had under Robert Saleh. But I think the only difference is Steve Wilks is an old school coach. The players are going to want to play for this guy. Same thing with DeMeco. He's kind of more of a player's coach, kind of. But the difference from the Saleh to the DeMeco Ryans time was at least Robert Saleh was able to get our defense to get these teams with 3 and outs. But sometimes DeMeco Ryan, I like his creative, but sometimes it could be unpredictable. But watching Steve Wilks' defense, you see the aggressive style approach. You see the type of players he brings to the culture. When we went to the draft alone, we got some guys that would fit Steve Wilks. Like, you need a safety who has a knack for the ball and has that aggressive style of play. So Jair Brown fits the mold. You look at a cornerback like Luter, he kind of seems like the kind of guy that Steve Wilks likes. I mean, you got to have some athleticism at the linebacker position. You got to be able to do good in coverage. This guy has a great track record when it comes to developing DBs. This guy knows the game. So DeMeco knows linebackers, but Steve Wilks knows DBs, and that's been one of our Achilles heels is pass defense at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember the Chargers 49ers game last season. We hit you on like the first drive on a deep ball over the top, and I was, we were giving you guys a game through that pass offense, but again, you guys grinded it out. We weren't able to grind out a lead, bro. So
yeah, that's the only difference was that was the Achilles heels at time was our pass defense. Like, let's not let's not act like our pass defense was great, because if it wasn't for the pass rush from time to time, I don't think we wouldn't be able to make those type of plays. But I think when you have Steve Wilks, the guy knows how to improve the pass defense, and he knows what kind of players he can bring into the culture. And he's a culture setting guy, so he knows what it takes to change a culture and all that stuff. So when you look at his defensive track records in Carolina, when he was a DC and even an interim coach, the defense has played a lot better under him, but he's always been known to change that culture.
Yeah, and I think also, when you have when you have a weakness or something, it's so important to aggressively go and fix that. Like, however you think, you have the whole offseason, go out and try and fix that, so you can come back next season and, not have that be so much of an issue. If, it's not like you just double down on your own same formula that has failed. You want to change things up. You want to find out what's going to work for you,
Yeah, definitely. Ooh, Tommy's just giving you some facts there. I guess it came down to the running game. I think you guys were gassing. Your run defense was actually suspect at that point. But
yeah,
you guys kept exposing that pass defense because we were coming off lenores. Like Emmanuel Mosley was out for the season, and we were pretty short-handed, and you had a chance to expose Deommodore Lenoir. Lenoir started showing out late in the season. He started to show that he wasn't the weakest link, but still, that's still an area that we need to improve on.
Yeah, you guys just out-physicaled us. You guys just, grinded it out. We just were not as physical as you guys, and this is football. It turned out it ended up being like a, short yardage, dogfight, tug-of-war type of game. And that's just not our specialty. That's where we struggle a lot. And it's not a surprise that we lost that game. I think you guys just grinded it out over us, and I think that's our biggest area for improvement. Our rush defense has been horrible. Our rush offense has been horrible, and that's where teams are going to attack us. And that's what you guys did. So good job.
Yeah, we did that part. And to be fair, you didn't have majority of your other receivers. That's the worst part.
That's true.
Because you didn't have Mike Williams. You didn't even have Keenan Allen. So that wasn't a fair battle. I mean, we made DeAndre Carter look like freaking like a stud. We made the other receiver look like something. I don't know who the other. Yeah, we didn't know who those other receivers were, but they were looking like some studs out there, and that's the weakest part of our defense at times. But
and I want to add to that. Our Justin Herbert was making those lower end receivers look good, which means to me, Justin Herbert can succeed with not as good receivers, which makes me wonder, what are we doing when we're doubling down, getting all first round receiver again? We got Keenan, we got Mike, we got all these great receivers, when I think what we should be doing is addressing our weaknesses, which is our run offense and run defense. We're just ignoring it again, and it's just I expect to have the same problems again next year.
Yeah, and I guess from what your boy's saying, those jet sweeps that Lombardi calls on DeAndre Carter, I think jet sweeps only work on physical, fast receivers. Like, you look at Deebo Samuel, he perfects the jet sweep. Mm-hmm. He perfects it. Like, you don't even think of him as a wide receiver. You think of him as a running back, too.
As an athlete.
Yeah, as an athlete all around.
Yeah.
The jet sweep usually works on running backs mostly, but for a guy like Deebo Samuel, he does it. He makes it look easy. But if it's a speedy receiver, it may work at some point, but it doesn't always work if you're not physical, the physical style of the play. But you guys have somebody like you have Kellen Moore, who's a well-known guy for running the ball and makes quarterbacks look pretty decent. So I think you guys will be fine. Maybe just pray that maybe you guys don't chargering, whatever you guys call it nowadays. But But for everybody else, man, I appreciate you coming on, bro. I know that I wanted to go on a little more, but I have to check in my schedule pretty soon, and it's not going to look pretty good. But, bro, for you, bro, tell everybody where they can find your YouTube channel, and tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter once again. And for everybody else, man, this is Chargers Truther, man. You're an up-and-coming Chargers content creator, man. This guy knows his team. This guy is a Bay Area guy. Not in San Diego, not in LA. You're a Bay Area guy, right?
Yep, I'm from San Jose. I'm been here pretty much my whole life. Grew up here. I didn't want to, be a Raiders or 49ers fan. I grew up with LT, so I picked the Chargers when I was young. I'm a diehard fan. I watch every play, every game, every season since I was like 10. And yeah, I'm here to be a little more raw, unfiltered. I'm talking about our issues and our continuous problems that keep popping up every single year. There's a lot of podcasters out there that just kind of tiptoe around these things. They're like, oh, well, I don't understand why we keep having these issues. It's obvious because we're not investing in those areas. If you don't invest in it, it's not going to get better just magically. So yeah, we're hoping, we got Justin Herbert. We're always going to have hope and always hoping for a successful season. And I'm Chargers Truther on YouTube and Twitter and all that. And yeah, CG Ruthless, thank you so much for having me. And hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, we'll catch up sometime. This time it'll be longer than 30 minutes next time. It's just something just came up. And for everybody else, man, thank you guys for tuning in. And please subscribe, Chargers Truther, man. He's a cool Chargers fan.
Thank you.
All right, for everybody else, thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Catch me on the CG Ruthless Sports when I interview former Steelers linebacker Levon Kirkland.
Yeah.